in the shadowed folds of Devon's countryside, where the earth hums with the weight of centuries, lies the ancient hamlet of Greenslinch, place so old its name whispers through the pages of the Doomsday Book. Here, the land once belonged to Nicholas the Bowman, a Norman archer of fearsome repute, granted these fields as reward for his loyalty in the conquest of 1066. But the soil of Greenslinch never rested easy under his dominion. The peasants who toiled beneath his iron hand-serfs, bound to the earth, met grim fates: starvation, plague, or the swift punishment of Nicholas's arrows for any whisper of defiance. The Doomsday Book noted the land's bounty, but it could not record the bitterness that seeped into its roots, nor the restless spirits that would come to haunt it. By the late 20th century, Greenslinch had undergone a transformation. The crumbling stone walls and weathered cottages of old had been replaced by large, modern family home sprawling residences with double garages and manicured lawns, their picture windows glowing warmly against the dusk. Yet the narrow, winding Greenslinch lane remained unchanged, an unpaved track flanked by gnarled hedgerows and fields that seemed to hold their breath. The hamlet's name lived on in faded parish records and the uneasy tales shared by locals in the nearby Butterler Inn, where they spoke of the ghosts of Nicholas the Bowman's workers, doomed to plough the same furrows they had in life, and of Nicholas himself, a vengeful wraith whose bowstrings still sang death across the centuries. It was on misty autumn evenings, when the fog clung low to the fields like a shroud, that the apparitions were most often seen. Residents of Greenslinch would pause at their windows, their breath catching as they glimpsed shadowy figures hunched over spectral ploughs in the fields beyond their gardens, the faint creak of wooden wheels echoing in the still air. The ghosts moved in silence, save for the occasional moaner sound like the wind, but heavier, laden with despair. Old Tom Hargreaves, a retired shepherd who'd moved into one of the houses in the 1970s, swore he saw them in 1984 while sipping tea on his patio. Dozens of he'd mutter over his pint at the Butterler in all grey-like, trudging behind phantom oxen, their eyes hollow as the grave. I didn't linger to count mind. His tale wasn't dismissed as fancy. Too many others had seen the same over the years, from young mothers pushing prams in the 1970s to teenagers cycling home in the 90s. But it wasn't just the ghostly ploughman that set folks' nerves on edge. Those brave or foolish enough to walk Greenslinch Lane after dusk often spoke of a different terror: the sudden, sharp whoosh of arrows slicing through the air, so close they'd feel the breath of fletching graze their cheeks. No one ever saw the shafts, but the sound was unmistakably high, deadly wine that sent even the stoutest hearts diving for the ditch. Young Eliza Carter, a schoolteacher new to the area in 1972, learned this the hard way. She'd laughed off the locals' warnings, chalking them up to rural superstition, and set out for an evening stroll to clear her head after a long day. She hadn't gone half a mile down the lane when the first arrow sang past her ear, so near it tugged a strand of her hair. A second followed, then a third, each closer than the last, until she was sprinting back to her home, her laughter replaced by breathless sobs. She packed her bags the next day and never returned to The old-timers knew better than to scoff. They reckoned it was Nicholas the Bowman himself, still guarding his land with the same ruthless precision he'd shown in life. Some claimed to have seen him, a tall, gaunt figure shrouded in a tattered cloak, his ghostly bow drawn taut, standing sentinel atop the rise where Greenslinch Lane met the fields. His eyes, they said, burned with a cold fury, as if daring any soul to trespass on his domain. In 1989, A poacher named Jack Tully swore he locked eyes with the spectre while sneaking through the underbrush after rabbits. He knocked an arrow and aimed straight at me hard, Jack recounted, his hands trembling as he clutched his mug at the Butler Inn. I didn't wait to see if he'd loose. If he'd loose it, Ty ran faster than I ever done in me life. Yet not all encounters were so hostile. There was a strange rhythm to the hauntings, as if the ghosts of Greenslinch were bound to an eternal cycle of labor and vigilance. On moonlit nights, some claimed to hear the faint clatter of wooden tools or the low murmur of voices speaking in an old-tongue Anglo-Saxon, perhaps mingling with the rustle of leaves. A few, like Widow Agnes, who lived in one of the modernized homes at the edge of the hamlet in the 1980s, found an odd comfort in the sounds. They're just working the land, same as always, she'd say, rocking in her chair by the fire. They don't mean no harm, not to them what respects em. Still, most folks steered clear of Greenslinch Lane when the light failed, even with the comfort of their modern homes waiting nearby. And those who didn't often regretted it. The ghosts of Nicholas the Bowmans, workers and their spectral master held sway over the fields. Their presence, a chilling reminder of a time when the land was won with blood and held with fear. Even today, if you ask the old farmers in the Butler Inn Bell, they'll tell you the same. Greenslinch ain't a place for the living after dark. The plows still turn, the arrows still fly, and the past refuses to rest. Many thanks for treading this If it's chill gripped you, like, follow, subscribe and comment below.